Hello and welcome to another installment of Authentic Conversations with Adele podcast. So happy to be in season 3 and excited about every guest I get on this show. Once again, we would love you to subscribe, share, and like each episode as it does stuff to the algorithms and it keeps us being seen. And I thank you in advance. So I just want to share a little bit about me and transition clarity. I'm a soul strategist and intuitive guide. I help people get out of the rat race or the matrix to follow your purpose or your North Star. What does that mean? It means it's all about being your authentic self, being aligned to the God essence of who you are, that you are here to be, and know that you are chosen to be here at this time of change on this earth. Right now, we are in the biggest changes that we'll ever see in humanity. And at the time of this recording, it is the beginning of February and of 2026. So if you're following me, you'll know that I talk a lot about this, the change, asking whoever to step up into who they're supposed to be for this world. We all bring our unique gifts. As it's been said, we're our own unique puzzle piece to the world map. And so if you want to dive deeper and have a conversation, follow me either on LinkedIn, Facebook, or book a call with me. It's a free call if you want, and we can discuss further. You know, how are you showing up in your life? How are you being the lighthouse in your own life for those around you? And with that, let's welcome our guest. Today we have Dr. Enolia Harris Pedro. She is a scholar, practitioner, author, and ceremonial elder who works bridge ancient wisdom and modern mastery. She is the creator of the Empowerment, Achieve, Succeed methodology and the founder of Enolia International, integrating sacred geometry and the trivium and quadrivium consciousness studies and leadership development. Dr. Enola gives individuals and communities worldwide in reclaiming sovereignty, coherence, and embodied self mastery through education, ceremony, and lived wisdom. And her special offer is she'll do a free call with you too. That's great. And with that, let's welcome her to the show. And here we go, Dr. Nella. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adele. It's so great to be here.
Great. So, like I start off every podcast conversation, how did you end up as Dr. Enola doing the work you do? Like how what was that journey? What was that transition for you?
Wow. Okay. So
I know. A light question. A light little
how far
question to
how
start
far
it
do you
off.
want to how far do you really want to go back? Okay. So actually for me what I'm going to interpret it is that how did I end up here and
Mhm,
now as I am?
mhm.
And when I look at as I am, I'm a grandmother elder. I am a medicine woman, and that comes to me first. The doctor, etc., that's education. We all go through it.
Okay.
It's all good, right? But that's not what defines me.
Mhm,
So when you ask me that, I'd really have to revert back to the fact that, just like everybody else, I graduated from university and mathematics and, found my first job. I ended up designing computer networks for a living and I did the whole strategic corporate thing, So there it is. I started a career in IT, got
Mm-hmm.
recruited by a Fortune 500 company, ended up uh, managing the very group that I was hired for, and then started doing really huge projects and then programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would deliver projects and programs across the world for this particular company, but I wasn't happy.
Yes.
And we each reach a time in our career where there's a longing in our heart. So with that, I was married. I have two beautiful boys, and they're grown men now,
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, and I finished my education while I was in corporate. I got my MBA and graduated summa cum laude, top of my class.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't happy. It still wasn't satisfying. That quench of needing something else wasn't thirst. That thirst wasn't quenched.
Mm-hmm.
So what I basically had was this longing in my heart. And it started off with like, I want to know my history more. I want to know my traditions and what they were, because as an African American, we all have that history of we were brought to America through our lineage. We didn't start there.
Mm-hmm.
So, understanding that, when I first looked for elders that were African, I couldn't find them. And knowing that on my father's side, my great grandmother was Cherokee. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so I'm going to look for a native uh, elder to at
Mm-hmm.
least start, because I want to just explore this aspect of me that basically, what are my traditions? There's got to be another way of being. I'm doing the corporate thing. I grew up in New York City, in Queens. I'm doing the city thing. And it's not
The
meeting
land
that.
is calling you.
Yeah, that urge, that calling, that time when your heart is just not satisfied. So I ended up getting a beautiful Mother's Day gift from my family to go to the 13 Indigenous grandmothers. I had
Mm-hmm.
saw them. I kind of mentioned it to my husband at the time. And then that's what he and the boys gifted me as a Mother's Day gift. So I go. I didn't know what to expect. I just, it seemed interesting. I'd go. Well, little did I know that that event really was the pathway that started the change of my whole world being turned upside down. And for those people who don't know who the 13 Indigenous grandmothers were, they were 13 women that were the medicine women of their community,
Mm-hmm.
that were from all over the world, that came to fulfill a prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
that not only would they come together, but that they would start opening up the doors to the teachings and the stories and the ceremonies that have always been closed to outside people, because it was time for unity. It was time for everyone to be taught. And so, what each one did is each day they did ceremony in their own perspective culture. So, grandmother from Tibet did it the Tibetan way, grandmother from Nepal did it Nepal, the way the Nepalese do it. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say grandmother, I mean medicine woman, because that's an affectionate term for
Mm-hmm.
medicine woman. And, grandmother from Africa, grandmother from Lakota, all over the world. And so here I am experiencing this ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting blown away. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this little 4'2" Nepalese woman sits down. She has her altar in front of her that she created, and she starts praying, and she starts calling the 72 names of God. And I'm like listening to this, and we're in a big open field that is about, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 feet in circumference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm feeling her. I'm like 300 feet away from her, and I'm feeling her like she's next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart's beating fast, and I'm feeling it in the gut of my stomach, and I can feel the energy reverberating like you couldn't deny it,
Yeah.
because you're like in the waves of this energy reverberating. And I'm like, what is this? I want to do this. I want this. Just blown
Yeah.
away. So later in the conference, Grandmother Margaret, who was one of the 13 indigenous, points out this woman in the audience who is her protege, but is an elder, also a grandmother. Her name is Grandmother Isabel Nowosaki. And when she points her out, and she's this woman's beautiful buckskin dress, long white hair, and she's carrying a serpent staff. She's gorgeous.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's the one. She's the one I'm going to approach. I want to be taught. Somebody's got to teach me. She's the one. And so when they let us go from that particular venue, I'm like tripping over myself to get to her through the crowd. And I get to her and I go, "Hi, your grandmother Isabel. I saw you introduced." And she's like, "Yes." And I like introduce myself and I'm like, "Will you teach me?" And she goes, "Well, what do you want to learn?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I hadn't gotten that far." I, I didn't even know what I wanted her to teach me. I
I just
just
flew out of Queens.
like, you know? And so I like thinking quick on my feet. And I'm like, herbalism. Will you teach me herbalism? That's something that can be taught. And she's like, "Well, my girl, if you're really serious about it, then come up and see me sometime." And she hands me a card. And that's when I found out that she was from Canada, Northern Canada. She lived in Serpent River on the reservation. And she was
Oh,
100 miles shy of where there were no more roads. And an hour east of Sault Ste. Marie, and
oh,
Sault Ste. Marie,
wow.
where Michigan
Yeah.
and Wisconsin and Canada all touch, right? The landmass over the water. So I drove, I don't know, it seemed like 22 hours. I was like, oh my God, but I drove it and I visited her for a weekend. We met one another. We got to know one another. We had a beautiful weekend together, and she invited me to participate in putting together a retreat. And it's like, okay, this is great. I'm going to put together. I'm a project manager for the Fortune 500 company. What's the big deal? I could definitely do that. She's like, "And will you bring some people?" I brought 22 women the following summer, and I got there a week early. And I was excited because I was going to be taught by this beautiful indigenous woman. And I actually wrote about this, and my book is called Finding My Sovereign Voice with My Grandmother Elder. And the 2 weeks that I experienced at this retreat and how I put my foot in my mouth with my corporate ways and all the things that I had to have the lesson learned. But what she did, having experienced that, is that not only did our relationship cultivate this and evolve into something so beautiful that's lifelong
Hmm.
friendship,
Hmm.
but something shifted where I kept meeting indigenous peoples and they wanted to teach me. And that's how it started. So I had a wonderful time with her. And then I was like, "Well, will you really sit down and teach me? Can we do something full time?" She's like, "Yeah, you can move up here and the apprenticeship is 2 years." And I'm like, "I can't move. And I'm not going to move my family and all of this stuff. I couldn't do that."
Yeah.
So I had to find another way. And so that's when I met Grandmother Shirley of the Lakota. I met Grandfather Lynch Archuleta from the Yaqui Indians. I met Grandmother Maria Resaburu from the Apache. And then I found Alberto Vialdo's program with the Quiros Indians of Peru. And then that way I was able to study like submerge. It was a 2-year program at the time. And we followed the medicine wheel, and then we had to take 3 advanced classes, and then and we had direct contact not only with the teachings but working with Quiros Indians. So then there it was. I finally achieved what I wanted to accomplish, which was to be apprentice. And then you know I started developing my own programs and started working with the different medicines that I had learned. And when I say medicines, I don't mean external medicines. I mean energy medicine. I mean, working with people who had to go through recapitulation because they were dying,
Hmm.
working with all kinds of scenarios, but with energy.
Yep.
And cultivating all of that, the door opened again and I started holding workshops and drumming workshops and rattle workshops because those were the skills that I picked up from going to Grandmother Isabel's.
Yeah.
And then it started taking me around the world. I ended up having a divorce. My boys were grown and in school and living their own lives by that time. And I picked up and I went from New York to California and I lived in California, and that's where it just started happening. I decided to start my own business and I wanted to do drum making and stuff like that as part of it for women's empowerment. And it was women's empowerment, but really it was just empowerment overall. And what ended up happening is it took me all over the world. I called up like 10 friends to say, hey, will you sponsor me and allow me to do this workshop at your house? And that ended up being 22 states and 3 countries later.
Yeah.
And
Well,
here it
and it's
is.
powerful. Like, I don't mean to stop you, but it's powerful
Oh,
to
no.
the fact of here you are a mother of two boys with a husband who gifted you your ticket out
Yeah,
without even knowing it.
without even knowing it.
And
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that because so many people, men and women, are getting these blessings and just thinking I'm going away for the weekend. Right? And
Yeah.
and and it's just like I said on a different podcast, women have to stop being shocked that their partners are in the cave. We sent them there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're the multitaskers. They're single focused. If you don't include, they're going to extract.
Right. Right. But for us, it wasn't like that. We just understood that we wanted different things in life. And
Well,
we didn't
exactly.
put
That's what I say. The
anger.
blessing
Yeah. We
of
just heard it
Happy
as,
Mother's Day, our family now looks different.
yeah.
It's no right or wrong. It's just it's going to look different. We still have full love for each other. Our boys are healthy and grown.
Yeah.
The relationship's going to shift anyways because they're not little babies. They're not needing to go to baseball practice. They're not, right? They don't need mom and dad as mom and dad. They need them as peers, right? So everyone's evolving and you came together as a, a unit of four to this is the next evolution
Yeah.
without knowing it, right? And I love that you studied with the different tribes and stuff because every tribe has its own magic,
Yes, it does.
right? And
Absolutely
being from
right.
Canada, like I know like our Nakota is different than our blood, different than the Cree, different than, right? And it's just um like some are known as the bead workers, like Saskatchewan Cree, I think. They're the bead workers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like, what do you mean that like they only do beads? They're known around the world as the bead workers,
Workers. Yeah. And they do phenomenal work.
right? And so it's just interesting. And um okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought because like there's so much we can talk about and but I want to kind of
Well,
keep
that's
it.
okay because I'll tell you a little bit more, which is that journey from California took me to South America
Yeah.
and I met with the Mapuche. And I also went to New Zealand and I met with the Waitaha. And then I started bridging out into Africa. It's amazing. So I studied with the Sangomers. I was initiated with the Quiros Indians of Peru. I went through all 13 rites of the Munaki. And then I was also initiated with the Ovumbundu in Africa here. So, like, who would have known that this journey, I walked 100 miles across the East and West Sahel parks with a Maasai? Who would have
So
known?
so okay, now I know what my question was. Where's the thirst to keep on learning and studying the different tribes?
Oh, it's here. It's
No, I
in
know, but like what kept you going all these different places in the world? Like, and it's funny that you started with the Canadian one. I don't
I have to tell you that the thirst is the fact that you have to understand what a grandmother is. A medicine woman is elected among her community
know. Yeah.
to be the caretaker of that community energetically, um, in all aspects of
Hmm.
the community. My community is the world.
Okay.
Because go 100% full circle, I ended up being initiated by the very first grandmother I met, grandmother Isabel Mawaski in Northern Canada, as a grandmother.
Cool.
And when she sat down to question me, she said, "Oh, well, my girl, um, well, who is your community though?" I said, "Well, grandmother, do you want to talk about my community in Nepal or my community in India or my community in Europe or my community in Africa or my community in Australia?" Like I have community all over the world, and depending on where I am and who I'm to engage
Hmm.
and what ceremony is being asked of me,
Hmm.
I can share with you, and that's what makes me different. And maybe that is why I ended up being taught by so many medicine men and medicine women across the world because I have a respect for all culture.
But you also came with a willing soul to learn.
Yeah.
And and when it's like the old saying, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Throw ears.
And you show up with this open heart, this open soul saying, I'm a sponge. And they go, here we pour. Because if
Yeah.
you came in judging, if you came in like, what do you know? Like, I know all this from all these different cultures. Like, you're not going to teach me anything. You wouldn't have met the teacher.
Yeah. That's right. You're absolutely right. And I didn't come projecting, but when I sat down with grandmother, what she realized is that, I'm like an anomaly, which is okay, and that exception to the rule of how things are traditionally done,
Hmm.
and knowing that I would honor and respect all teachings, anyone's teachings, let alone her teachings, and that I could walk into any culture
Hmm.
with respect for the traditions
Hmm.
and learn.
Hmm.
Not come in with my cup full and going to tell everybody what to do, but to come in with humility and listen and learn.
Well,
And then when invited, to share and to engage.
and who says you're the only one for the world?
No, I
The
didn't say
world, I
that.
know, no, I didn't say you said that, but it was just, it was
Oh, okay.
coming in saying,
Yeah.
there's many, and yet there's so few, right? And why do we not need more grandmothers in this great time of change, right? And it's interesting because I think society, this is only my opinion, don't call me, that we've lost the art of ceremony. We've lost the art of understanding there's a reason we have young ones and we have elders. And in tradition, it's the middle ones that really don't have any job, right? Because they're just like doing their thing, making the money, right? But it's the
Right.
elders that are going to keep bringing in the traditions. And the younger ones are being raised by the elder, or used to be raised by the elders, right? As they came into manhood, as they came into womanhood, right? And I think we've lost this. And I've heard this from other other people that the reason there's so many piercings and tattoos is they're taking ritual into their own hands. And when I heard that, I was like, now that makes sense.
Hmm.
Crazy, but makes sense. Because you know, when you go to these different tribes, they have their coming of age.
Yes, that they,
Like
I
even the churches have their coming of
rites of
age,
yeah, rites of passage and
but people
coming of
aren't
age.
doing them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I think it's interesting that, and I don't know, like maybe you can answer this. I can't answer it for myself. I ask myself all the time. Is are we running parallel lives or are they actually bleed overs? That whatever we were as a medicine woman in another lifetime, for an example, bleeding into this lifetime so we can use the gifts again, or are we running parallel and we keep on going, oh, I remember that. Okay, okay, well, I'll pull that over. What's your thought?
I think that both can take place.
Okay.
All right. Because some people, you know, don't understand why they feel inspired to do certain things and they just are, and they're
Hmm.
driven and
Hmm.
they don't understand why, or they have a certain mindset that they can't release and they're driven and they don't understand why. I think those are bleed overs. I think that those are, if for lack of better words, lineage from previous lifetimes into this one, that
Hmm.
basically if you're a warrior then you just have a head for always wanting to fight.
Hmm.
Well, that was the warrior nature within you, you know. If you are a peacemaker, you just have it in your nature to negotiate and settle things down and not be confrontational. That
Hmm.
might have been the previous life that you always had. So, but I think that we run parallel lives. I think that when we really look at who we are interdimensional beings. We're
Yes.
beings. This is just the container that I'm in that you
Yeah.
call Dr. Enolia, that, we're having this conversation. So this being is talking to that being. But when you traverse the innerverse and focus within
Hmm.
and then expand outside of this container,
Hmm.
yeah, I think other things going, energy doesn't die. Energy has never died. So that unexplainable aspect by which we come by, whether we call it birth, death, whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
people have fragmented hearts because they've encountered traumas, they leave the bodies too early, and we don't know if that's whole.
Well,
We don't
and
know what we don't know.
the fact that you say people with the trauma or whatever leave their body, that doesn't mean that they're gone. They're still walking around this earth. The soul's just kind of hanging on out here, going, are you ready for me to come back in yet?
Or doesn't even know that they've left.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I've seen that. And that's why when people do these like extreme courses or extreme things, and I'm just like, you guys have no idea as leaders what you're doing to people, you know? And
Yeah.
um obviously I have not been initiated like you have, but I've had my own initiations and it's scary to think like these people are going home different. But yet, okay, so now back to you. Wait, so your friends that you had with your first marriage through this transition, are they saying this was always you? Or are they saying you've jumped off the deep end? We don't know who
I
you
don't
are.
know, But I have to tell you that I go back to where I used to live in New York all the time, and I'm received with open arms. And I just believe that they may have said, I can't believe the leap she took, and let's see where this goes. And I think they watched.
Yeah.
And as they watched, they saw me grow, but they saw me happy. I
Hmm.
had two coworkers call me back from corporate a year later and said, I see you on Facebook. You're so happy. What did you do? How did you do it? How did you
Hmm.
end up traveling all over the world? What explain to us, help us understand because we're thinking about leaving, kind of thing. And so I think they watched.
Well, and I think that's such a beautiful um explanation because I always say when people get as as a mutual person we know the kiss off check, right? And I'm like, it's a blessing. Your soul was saying you're ready to
Yeah.
grow, to expand, to right? And someone asked me the other day, um, do I love being an entrepreneur? Not always, but I don't know any different. Because Lord help me, that 4.5 years that I did corporate as a employee was the longest 4.5 years of my life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I worked corporate for over 25 years. It was fine, but I went on my terms. I'll accept this contract for this time period. If it runs over, because as a project manager, they always run over. I put that into my realm. I can run it over a little bit, but it comes to a point, I'm out, right? Because it gave me the flexibility I needed. And then I'll see other contractors in there, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Well, and I go, "They're working you 3 times as hard because you're a contractor because you're letting them say
That's
no."
right.
Oh, I don't know. I said, "Say no. If you want all this done, give me some workers." Right? We
Right.
teach people how to treat us. So if we're
Yes.
teaching them
And
that we deserve to be scum on the earth, guess what? We're going to be scum on the
and
earth.
we treat it that way. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So powerful. So powerful. So what out of all the initiations, all the tribes, everything that you've gone through, besides love, what is the common thread through all the traditions?
Mm. A mutual respect for one another,
Mhm.
the ability to communicate, the respect for the elder. Mm. There are a lot of common threads woven through. It's funny because there's so much that is common in terms of just even the family dynamics that when invited in, I usually fall right into alignment of
Mhm.
what the women are expected to do, how the family works together, even when a guest is there, expectations of just automatically saying, oh, I'll help, you know, and just falling into place of knowing this is what we do unless I'm told otherwise.
Even if
Not
you're the guest.
even if I'm the guest, because
Okay.
in a lot of traditional ways, um, what Westerners would call subservience is just how the family unit works together.
Well, and it's funny you say that because um, I've known a lot of farm kids. If you're not in there cleaning dishes off after supper or like you are not part of the clan and you will get reprimanded later.
And yeah,
Right? So that's the same as the tribes. Like
I just came
whether
back from
whether you're
Egypt.
3 years old taking trash out or you're
Yeah.
83 years old, making sure the clan is working, everyone has a job.
Yeah. I just came back from Egypt in October, and my guide and I uh are very close. So I had um a few times dinner with his family. His sister came over to cook for me, and we ended up cooking together.
Yeah.
Because at first she's like, no, 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 you're the guest. Yeah, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
And then,
I
with the
am your
love,
friend.
how to approach and mutual respect and how to speak and everything, we just fell right into play in cooking together.
See, and
And
that's
then
so interesting you say that because I always say if you're not my sous chef, please step out of the kitchen. But if you fall in line and just go, I'll finish that up for you, and I don't notice that you started doing it, you're my sous
exactly,
chef. Like, and I'm not saying, and it's interesting because there's some people that just naturally work well together, right? And there's nothing that warms my heart as a couple that can do that with each other, especially if you're on the big island and everyone's sitting around chatting and they're just like making this beautiful meal in front of you without even a little bump. Like,
what it is too is that most people don't realize that there's a rhythm every country abides by, and they're all different.
hmm
And I remember going to Egypt and spending the first few days there, and all I did was sit still and just take in the rhythm of the country,
hmm
just watching the way people move. When do they go to bed? How do they work? How do they get things done? Do the horns ever stop? And they really never sleep. There's always movement. There's always movement. But there is a very deep respect. You see it in the relationships, in the gestures, and everything else in the engagement with one another,
but
right?
okay, but Egypt never sleeping is different than New York never sleeping,
Yeah, it is. It is.
right? Like
Because
Egypt has
in
that.
never sleeping, you don't have to worry about inappropriate someone approaching you wrong or getting mugged, blah 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 blah. That's not the part of it never sleeps. I
hmm
remember being out at 2 a.m. and talking to the person who sells fruit as if it's the middle of the day. And it's just like this engagement, and oh, have a piece of fruit here, and oh, just try this. You're visiting, you have to try our fruit here. You've never had this before. And that whole engagement. Now, that would be different than the temperament when I was in Arizona visiting the Hopi. Now, when I was in visiting with the Hopi, we fell in alignment in the kitchen, and just the way that we were preparing things, and they were thrilled to embrace that.
hmm
But there was a peace and a calm between what was taking place all around. It wasn't a busyness. It
Well,
was,
and
unless you're asked, calm down.
yeah, and I don't care what kitchen that food's coming out of. When you have that peace and connective and the love going in, the food tastes better.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And the smiling, and sometimes, like here in Africa, they'll sing while they're cooking.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. And here, like I've been here in Angola long enough that if someone's cooking or whatnot, I mean, they don't even see me join because I know exactly what to do.
yeah.
And I sit down with everyone else and I'm smiling. It's like, is that it? And they just give me the next thing that needs to be done. And, You just fall into alignment and you don't have to worry about that. It's not like, oh, I don't do that, you know.
Yeah.
You just fall into alignment, but there's a camaraderie and an acceptance that when that takes place, then the shield comes down. And when that shield comes down and you're embraced as a family, then the conversation starts.
Yeah.
And then the conversation starts and you listen. You don't talk, you listen. And then when you listen and you show that respect, you get invited to talk. Then they start asking you about who you are and what you bring to the table and why are you here?
Hmm.
You know, and it's a beautiful thing. I remember when I was in New Zealand and we were actually there with the Waiataha visiting, and it was 2 week or 1 week, 1.5 week program.
Hmm.
And I had a different experience than everybody else in the retreat because the first thing I did was go and join. First, I started the respectful way, which is like picking up after we ate and just helping everyone clean up. And then the next thing I did was like, hey, I can help you cut that out. And what everybody didn't realize is that all of the women in the kitchen weren't workers. They were the medicine women.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know that. Why? They were too, a handful were very arrogant and so busy turning their nose saying, oh, you missed that over there. Or I don't do that, and going through their iterations of their boundaries,
Egos.
and egos and limitations, that they missed the fact that the beautiful, beautiful women that were there were a plethora of knowledge
Well,
and
and
teaching and just unbelievable, powerful.
and that's
But
where
not,
I feel sad for the kids of today. They're
yeah,
so busy doing other things that they're missing out on the wisdom of their elders.
wisdom.
And I have to say, like, I've always spent a lot of time with the elders, like whether it's my family or friends, and like it's hard now because now they're all starting to transition. And yet, in my heart, I know it's okay because I am now the elder. And I'm calling in those ready to seek my wisdom. And it's not my wisdom, but the wisdom that comes through me, right?
Right?
And every once in a while I go, when did I become the elder? Like, what the heck? Because a lot of times I still feel like the child, right? Because of being with the elders. Yeah. And it's a powerful journey, but it's also, I don't know if this is the right word, but it feels like a reverence, yeah, like an honor,
Mm-hmm. It
you
is
know?
an honor.
Yeah, yeah. And it's different because I didn't have children of my own. I said, "Oh no, I'm auntie to everybody." And they go, "What?" I go, "I'm auntie to everybody." I mean, my nephews are in their like in their 30s and their friends from university and their adult life still don't know my name. I'm auntie. Like I understood it was like when they're 5 and 6. Oh, that's my auntie.
Yeah.
But when you're 30, don't I have a name? Auntie. Okay. Right? And so I honor that because that's a name that has been given and they cherish rather than given my birth name. Right? Just like the community elders or the grandmothers of the community. That's an honor, not a name.
Right.
Yeah. Powerful. Where's life taking you now?
Mm.
What's on the horizon? What are you getting excited about?
I'm getting excited. I'm about to, in a couple of weeks, go to Australia.
Right.
And I'm really, really excited about that in the respect that I've been really feeling the land and speaking to the people of the land and singing my song line now before I get there
Okay.
to be received.
Uh,
Because when you go and you do ceremony on different land, you ask permission.
mhm.
You just don't go and do ceremony on different land.
Well, the land will kick you out
Yes,
if
it
you,
will.
right? Because
True.
I used to do energetic land clearings and stuff, and I've been asked to come to different parcels of land, like the owners are saying, please come, and I'm like, not right now, and they're like, why? And I said, they're saying it's not time, and I respect that. And the landowners are going, but no, we want to start building, we want to do it, and I go, do you want your house to stay up? And they go, well, yeah, not right now. The land has to do its welcoming to you first,
Exactly.
or
It
that house is going to have problems forever.
it welcomes you and it has to see you as the earth keeper.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will surely find yourself miserable. It's funny, I held a retreat in Florianopolis, Brazil, and a dear friend of mine, and she expressed to me, she's like, "Oh my gosh, the land loves you." And I'm like, "Really?" And I said, "Well, how do you know?" She said, "Let me tell you something. When people come here, if the land loves them, they have a wonderful time. And you've had a wonderful time. But if the land doesn't want them here, everything goes wrong."
Hmm.
They say that, the land is almost haunted because if it doesn't want you, and I've watched people come here and they break out, they have they get stuff stolen, they fall, they injure themselves, the da 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 da, just drama, drama, drama after drama after drama after drama after drama. And then they hate it and they can't get out of here fast enough. But, I ended up not only that I think I stayed in Florianopolis like 3, 4 weeks. I
Mm.
had a wonderful time. I met beautiful, beautiful people. And the land is beautiful. I had fun, the different things that I did, all of the things that I've tried. It was a beautiful time. It was a
Well,
beautiful.
and it's interesting because I've been noticing the people who consistently go on cruise ships. And I'm like,
Okay.
right? And I'm watching it. The ocean is the same ritual. You can shift through more stuff, well, give or take with the 5,000 other people with you. But like it's quite an experience to be on the water, the open sea,
Mhm.
right? And I remember like I was part of this company and they used to rent out the whole ship, right, for the company. And the staff on the ship would always go, "Oh, we love it when you guys do this." We're like, "Why?" And they go, "We don't know, but the ship is so different when you're here." Right? And so one night we had this big party where, dancing, having a good time, whatever. And the next morning, our services, did you check out the seas last night? And we're like, no, we're at our party. We had no idea. The waves were just crashing and we're just like having a good time. No idea. Like, you know, because the energy that we were creating as a group on every part of the ship and the ocean was rejoicing in it with us.
Yeah.
The captain, maybe not so much, but you know, he got us back to dock safe. But like, and it's really interesting because I remember saying after that cruise, I don't think I ever want to go on a normal cruise because that was so spectacular with the energy. And
Yeah.
like that's the same with the land. It's like respect the land. And living where I live in Calgary, like we have we're surrounded by the seven nations, right? And
Yeah.
and so instead of having big well reserves of water, all the building of the houses is fracked all that water into creeks. So it's chaotic now instead of just being big reservoirs. And it's interesting the difference in even just in the house, like in my land around the house, like you're constantly clearing it
Mm.
because the fracking of the water,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. I truly, water is life. Water
Yeah,
is alive and water is life. So, yeah.
yeah. So, and there's been talk that the people that are going to bring us into this new world the fastest and the most dramatically is Africa
I think
because
that what we're actually doing is we're witnessing uh evolution and shift.
hmm
And, this, I don't talk politics, none whatsoever.
mm
I just don't. But we are living through a shift
hmm
that is grand, that is taking place. And in the end, I really do believe that that which was perceived as weak will end up leading.
well, and that's what I was trying to get to is that
Yeah.
why they're saying Africa is going to be the lead on this is because they didn't go into the craziness of everything. They stayed in their communities, they stayed in their rituals, they stayed in the groundedness of life.
Yeah.
And so, where do we get the most momentum in a new revolution, wave of n- like this new world? Is in the ritual, the groundedness, the community, right?
Yeah.
So you guys, so Africa always stayed centered. I'm not saying they didn't have their craziness too, right? Because they
No,
can,
but I know
they,
what you mean by centering in the family, centering in self, centering in many different things, not
hmm
going off on tangents,
hmm
you know. So yeah, I really do understand what you're saying. Yeah.
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 Well, and it's um because I remember growing up with my friends' families and then we were adults and they'd be saying, "Would you stop talking to us like Mr. and Mrs.?" And so I just stopped addressing their name because how do you not still respect that they're Mr. or Mrs.? Yeah, okay, I might be an adult now, but you're still my elder. Like no matter how we
Exactly.
look at it.
And then here they have names for you. So as an elder who doesn't know me, I'll be addressed as madrina, which is like godmother, or my
Oh,
mother, or tia, you know. Like, I don't know you, but you're my auntie for now because that's how I'll address you. But you never, ever call anyone who's older than you, not even elder, older than you, by
yeah.
their first name, right? So as I meet my husband's family and all of the wives, they call me Mana, which is sister, because I'm the oldest of the wives. Okay. So
Interesting.
you have all of the different names that you are called, but it's always out of respect.
hmm
And I remember being with my madrina, okay, which is you get a godmother when you get married, and she is in your life and she watches out for you. in every respect. And I remember my mother, somebody had called her by her first name. She said, I am 64 years old and I've earned the right to be called Madrina. So don't you ever call me by my name, my first name again. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So
Like,
they do, it's
oh,
only Madrina and not Madrina in your name?
no, it's Madrina. Madrina is the term.
I know,
And
but what
that's
if
like,
there's five of you in the room?
which Madrina are you talking about then? That's
Well,
all.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's five in a
No, it's not
room.
Madrina Enolia. It's just Madrina. It's like, no, no, you know,
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting. That, yeah.
But remember that I'm in a Portuguese speaking country, so for word translation, we don't have that.
No, but I mean, auntie's auntie. Auntie's around the
Yeah.
world, right? Or like if it's not auntie, it's TT or whatever. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever.
So Tia might be said, and three of us turn around, and then we see which one is being
It's
spoken.
actually being spoken to.
Yeah. But like we have different words like for example, when I say it doesn't translate one for one, it's like when you're hungry, what do you say? I'm hungry.
Hmm.
Or you say oh, I'm starving, or
Hmm.
you say oh, I'm, and there's like 7 8 different words for I want to eat, but here there's only one word, tame foamy. I have hunger.
Okay.
Tame foamy. You don't hear I'm starving, I'm this and that. There's no translation for any of those words. Is do you have hunger? Yes, I have hunger.
Oh,
Você fome? Sim, eu tenho fome. I have hunger. Yes, I have hunger. It's time to eat. But you don't hear I'm starving.
well, I know, but that's probably why our English language is so hard to learn because there's so many exceptions to the rule,
Rule. Yeah.
right? Where like French or Spanish or even Portuguese, they're still based roughly in the original Latin language, that
Yeah.
it's masculine word, feminine word, very few
Yeah.
exceptions. Carry on, right? Yeah, where we have, I don't know what kind of word it is. Is it masculine, feminine? It's just a word, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so people coming from other cultures are going, this is the hardest language to learn, you know.
Yeah.
Other than writing, Japanese or Chinese could be easier than English. I don't know that
No.
because,
I have my hard time with Portuguese and just learning a language. It's funny how we can adapt, and certain skills we uh come very easily and other skills just don't. Like if it comes to math or physics or any of the sciences, philosophy, anything like that, I'm like this. But when it comes to language,
but it's
it,
it's math, right? So math is music and language.
oh, it is language, but that's the language I speak, and that's the language I've been exposed to. But when it comes to other languages, it just doesn't come easy.
Well, you also aren't two. Like, right? Like, because I remember a friend years and years ago when his boys were growing up, he wanted them to know French. So he moved his family to France, I think for a year or two. And when he came back, it took him 6 months to forget it all because they didn't speak it here.
I exactly. And I used to speak Spanish fluently, and I hadn't spoke Spanish in years. So I'm able to understand a lot more Portuguese than I am able to speak.
Yeah. I was gonna say they're pretty similar, aren't they? Just tones are different.
No, the words are different, and the intonation of how words are pronounced are different. So it's como está, right, versus como está.
Yeah.
So yes, that's a subtle difference. But yeah,
Well, I
greeting.
just know from my friends, one was from Brazil, one was from Mexico. Um, can't remember the other one. but they all could kind of like they're like, oh, it's just
They
like
can get
talking to
away because
different
a lot of the
regions.
words overlap. A lot
Yeah.
of the words overlap. Yeah.
And if you miss the sentence, then you say, ask in a different way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So no, it's fascinating, and it's oh, the changes in this world, and yet are they really changing? Are they just bringing us home to what we really know, right? Because it's coming home to the heart of who we truly are, and we're all one,
Yeah.
regardless of how our language looks or how we look, and you know, it's in the
Yeah.
oneness and the unity and the love, and that we build these communities that are going to move us forward into the magic that we're here
Mm.
to be. I'm excited. I'm excited for this new world. You know, like who knows? We're going to get to 2030 and go, what was that back then? Right? Because we just won't understand it. We'll just be in such a different space, a better vibration, a higher vibration of, kindness and yeah.
Yeah. Well, living life in the unknown, and it's beautiful. And so you just allow it to unveil.
Hmm. But yet in your work, is it really unknown? Because
Yes.
those are teachings that have come through thousands of years.
Yeah, but just because it's a teaching that's being taught or repeated doesn't mean that everything is known, Surprises that unravel in certain systems is a surprise to everyone, not just
Yeah.
one aspect, whether you're embedded in tradition or not, you know?
Or maybe in my mind, it's like because you have the tradition, you maybe don't get rocked as hard when the unexpected happens because you're more centered,
Right.
you're more grounded. You know that you have community in that like your family.
Yeah, but remember, fear is fear. And if it's palpable and it's being pushed at you constantly, eventually you get afraid.
Yeah.
You know, the beauty that I love is that because I don't speak Portuguese well, it just goes right over my head. It's like, what's going on with them? Well, they're afraid. Oh, okay. Well, that's their stuff. I don't know what she's saying. You know, it's totally fine.
Oh, the blessings, eh? The
Yeah.
blessings. Oh, that's priceless. So, we're coming to an end. How can people learn more about you? Where can they find you? What's going on? Give us your details.
Oh, my details.
And I will have it in the show notes, but I want people to hear it in case they don't go to
Sure.
the show notes.
So I am on all of the social medias. So I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, and you'll find me under in Instagram and LinkedIn. It's Enolia Empowers or Enolia. My previous name is Fodi, and now it's Harris Pedro. But certain social medias don't let you switch
I
those.
don't.
So I just put Harris Pedro where I can anywhere that it is. But I'm easily sought if you just do Enolia Harris Pedro, Enolia Foti, right in, and all of my pictures and everything will pop up. My website is the main thing to be able to see what I'm doing and what I'm engaged in, and that's Enolia, my name, www.enolia.live, Live. And there you'll see the retreats that I'm holding. I'll be in Australia. I'm also taking a small group of people with my other co-leader, Julianne, to Bali. So
I
those
saw
people were
that.
in Bali, and then I'm also going to Iceland with Running Wolf with Kiran, and we're going to do healing under the Aurora Borealis, and 2027, I'm seeing how many people are interested in Egypt again. So I'll be taking a group back to Egypt. And then basically, I have some new books that have just entered the market. I have The Trivium that is now available online, which is a restoration of rhetoric, grammar, and logic. Okay, for those people who are interested in establishing a really good foundation on in the trivium. I have the sovereignty of worth that I co-wrote with my dear friend and author Bukeka Busede Blakemore. And that is a beautiful experience because we really break down systems
Mm.
and we talk about what systems actually were there to impact our worth and the treatment of how individuals were treated in those systems and how it weighed on us in terms of our worth and our value. So that is a really deep dive and uh, very interesting book, and I think people will like it. And then I also co-wrote The Alchemical Path for Yoga, and I co-wrote that with a beautiful, beautiful woman named Tracy Shera. And she and I co-authored it, and she is a yoga teacher, and I come at it from this place of alchemical understanding. And we talked about the 7 stages that you go through in yoga to you're supposed to want to live coherently. Many people take yoga and they work through yoga. But what is the ultimate goal after going through all of these iterations or even teaching it? And
Community.
we felt like that was missing. So what we did is we looked at it outside of the physicalness of it. And we took its whole to say, here's what you're aiming for when you go through the iterations of it. You're
Well,
aiming for a more coherent life.
and it's interesting you say that because I like there's jokes all over the place saying, um, I know we're supposed to do our yoga, but heaven forbid we like left or right to see who's beside us. Like we come, we put our mat down, we shut our eyes to pretend like we're insulated. Like, what is that? I thought it was a community. And you just said the same thing. It's like, what are you it's not a doing. It's an
It's not.
integration. It's a oh, that's so funny.
It's not a doing, it's a being, and we've
Yeah.
lost the being aspect of it. You know what I make it akin to? It's like astronomy without astrology. Astronomy, you can know the cycles and how movement takes place and why it takes place and the measurement of the time that it takes place. Well, why is it taking place?
Hmm.
What is the story behind it?
Hmm.
It's like bones without meat, you know?
Yeah. Nope. Doesn't work. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. You have so much beautiful work up there and so much coming up and um yeah, and I just know like some of the connections like you're working with on behind the scenes could probably prosper some more outings or jaunts or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
always loving speaking engagements and always loving working with circles and groups. And then I actually navigate that to be able to share because I teach a master class in self-mastery,
mhm,
empowered to see through self-mastery. And I also certify coaches to teach it because it is a methodology by which, because I learned from the indigenous, it doesn't project things onto people. So therefore, you could teach it in any culture because
mhm.
everything that we go through is within you, not external to you. So we're not coaching your roles and your responsibilities and how you're seen. We're coaching the innerverse, how you see yourself.
And
What's
that is so prevalent now because as we leave the third dimension, we go into the higher dimensions, it's all an inner game. It
yeah,
doesn't matter what's happening outside of us. It's how we handle it within us that makes the difference.
right.
And that's so important for people to understand. So
Yeah.
I want to thank
So
you again.
that's That's everything. And then I'll mention the last book that I kind of did, Finding My Sovereign Voice from My Grandmother Elder. If you want to hear my story and know my story as a medicine woman, that's the book to get.
All right. And like I said, everything will be in the show notes. I want to thank Dr. Enola for being on the show today with us. And until next time, this is Authentic Conversations with Adele.
Take care.
Wow. Wasn't Dr. Enola just a wealth of information? And it's what I loved about it was getting back to the roots of community, of listening to the wisdom of the elders, and how no matter what your job is in the community, you all just flow in, and it doesn't matter where the community is. You kind of, scope it out and know how you can fall in and just start helping and being part of the community of supporting, serving, thriving. And what makes it more exciting is that I think this is where we're really trying to go as a world, um, coming out of the silos, coming out of the individuality, and showing up as true service to the world in the harmony of love, unity, and oneness. Once again, I'm Adele Bernard. This is Authentic Conversations. And if you want to know more about Transition Clarity and the 8-week program, the Sacred Circles, find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram, or you can find me at my website at bit.ly, Transition Clarity, capital T, capital C. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe, like, and share. We'll see you next time.